be the moderator of this session, so I am going to give the floor to Maggie. Maggie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nacho, for this presentation. So let me share my screen with you as a first thing. So here today we are gathered to talk about the future of the PhD Hub. And as Nacho mentioned, I will be joined and I will be chairing this session. You might know already, but I'm working for the European University Foundation, which is a network of more than 65 universities across Europe. And as Nacho mentioned, I am also coordinating this project that is the European PhD Hub, by which we are actually organizing as well this European Innovation Fest. And today I am joined by Rehan and Nacho. And before we jumped into a short presentation, I would like to ask Rehan to just give 1 minute, talk about himself. And maybe Nacho, you can do it as well, even though everybody must know you from now, but just to give a short introduction about yourself. So Rehan, you can go ahead, please.
Hi, everybody. Amazing to see European Innovation Fest. I think a grand job with all the participation. For myself, it's a really exciting opportunity to be here, but to see European Innovation Fest being led by University of Alcalá, it's been exciting. A little bit about myself. So I lead on innovative pedagogy in Birmingham City University, but really involved with bringing industry very closely to academics, but also getting science out into industry. So I play a very critical role in enabling academics and empowering students in what we would call the marketplace.
Nacho, do you want to say a word about yourself as well?
I
know everybody knows you.
It's too late, but no problem. Well, I am professor of electronics in University of Alcalá, and as well I am working as director of internationalization of my university. And I'm here because I am member of the Alcalá team in the PhD Hub project. So I have experience in the Erasmus Plus program in the several ways, in the several goals that this program has. And well, perhaps as well my participation here because I am and I was supervisor of PhD students, and I have experience with several collaborations and cooperation with business and other universities in terms of research mainly. So more or less, this is a quick introduction about myself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rehan and Nacho. I'm very glad to share the floor with you today. As you understood, it's two of my great PhD Hub partners. But before we get back to Rehan and Nacho, I will introduce you and tell you a bit more about this session. So today I will introduce you to the European PhD Hub if you don't know about it by now, but just to give you just a few facts about our project and what we are intending to do in the future with the project. There will be around a few polling questions because I want to capture your thoughts on the topic and as well on the general topics of university business cooperation and internationalization of PhD training. And at the end, we'll have some time for question and answers. And here we are really entering into a co-design or co-creative process. So you're really invited to give your feedback and your thoughts on the topic. So let's dive right into it. But before I talk about the project itself, I think it's important for us, for you to understand as well, what was the rationale behind this project. So back in 2017, when we started the project, we had done several analyses of the landscape, of the PhD Hub training landscape. And what we realized, obviously, is that there is a gap between research and science. So basically, we saw as well that there was this untapped potential of PhD research results, which is basically linked with, well, a lack of transferability of the research results into industry and society at large. But we saw also that there is missing cooperation with industry and society, as well as we believe that the cross-border cooperation is not fully deployed to its full potential, meaning that there is a need for truly European research area in which research and innovation actors can thrive. So here we are really trying to tackle these 3 points in our project. And that's how basically the European PhD Hub was born. This is a new funded project under the Erasmus Plus key action to, Knowledge Alliance call. And this means that we are working together with both, academia, as well as the industry. And this component is very important for us to really take a systemic approach to our problems, right? So here, very briefly, you can see what is the model that we are applying in our projects. And basically, this might seem familiar to you because it's the knowledge triangle. Nowadays, we can also call it the knowledge square because there is also this component about service to society. And here in this triangle, we are trying to foster, to have this win-win situation between all the stakeholders. So on the one side, we have the higher education institutions that can provide skilled labor to the industry and society because they are providing research and training opportunities to the early stage researchers and therefore providing a specialized workforce to the industry. And the higher education institution obviously can benefit from this collaboration because business partners can also co-fund those kind of projects and programs. And obviously, the early stage researchers like you today, you could also get an opportunity to work in the industry if you cannot obviously work in the academic sector, because in the previous talks yesterday, it has been also shown that obviously there is 80% of PhD candidates, PhD graduates that will have to work outside of academia because there is not enough position within. So as you may have understood, the core advantages of our method and approach is based on 3 aspects. So the PhD Hub environment is based on, this international aspect because we are connecting all the stakeholders together at European level. Also the intersectoral aspect, because obviously we have this industry component, or at least non-academic components. And we're also working on the interdisciplinary aspect, which basically is very important for us to foster collaboration between between the academic sector and the industry, but also within the academic sector. So to break some of the silos that there is in research as well, and to foster collaboration between the disciplines to bring forward innovation. So we are working on those 3 key aspects. And what does it mean for you is that, by internationalizing the doctoral training and by connecting the research and innovation actors together, basically what we are doing or trying to do is to empower you and to offer you early stage researchers the opportunity to innovate with the businesses and society. So here, you might have seen it already, but this is our platform. This is how it looks currently. We have different features here, but if I focus on the 2 most interesting features, which are the cooperation calls as well as the PhD offers, let me just tell you briefly about those. So the PhD offers is basically what it means, open positions in academia to work together with the industry and to conduct a PhD or a postdoc position, let's say. So it gives the universities well, more visibility, as well as well, it improves therefore the attractiveness of the universities. And it's provide a means to well, candidates as well as to the universities to find well, the talents that are across Europe. So not just looking internally and looking in their own environments, let's say. And the cooperation calls, which we call cooperation offers, is a way for you, as well as for the industry or the different PhD Hub users, to contact, well, to contact potential partners to work on specific research projects. So here it's really giving you the opportunity to get forward with any ideas that you may have and you want to develop. And being able as well to actually find partners, because this is also a very challenging part of, well, university business cooperation, finding the right partners, the partners that you can trust, as well as the partners with whom you can develop something meaningful. So just briefly to tell you what's the current status, what is the presence of the European PhD Hub. So as you have understood, we have tried to anchor cooperation locally. So it means that we have our different local hubs, we call them. We have one in Birmingham, one in Alcalá, one in Łódź, as well as one in Thessaloniki. And the idea was to start cooperation locally with, well, all the three actors that I mentioned earlier, and to then take and connect those at European level. The other thing is that it was really important for us to match the research fields, to match the research interests. So here, coming back to what I was saying, is basically making sure that as someone that is looking for partnerships, you will be able to actually find someone that is fitting. So to have an accurate answer to your research needs, or to actually find someone to collaborate with. And we are working on this with the semantic annotation. So this is a bit more technical. I will not go into it, but basically that's what allows us to make such a good matching. We have developed the PhDHub.eu, our platform, and we have initiated cooperation within our local hubs. This is just an overview of all of our partners. We are 10 in the project, 10 full partners from industries, from, well, actually from small and medium-sized enterprise to big companies as well. We have renowned universities as well. And I just wanted to give them a kudos, because I think too often, well, we don't realize from where we started and where we arrived. So here it's also to just like congratulate our partners for the great work that they have done during those years in the project. And now it's basically, well, the moment of talking about the future. And because I want to talk about the future of the PhD Hub, but because as well you are the future of research, I want to invite you to join us today, because basically I believe that the future of the hub is intimately connected with you, basically. So I invite you just to create your account on the PhD Hub platform, look into the different opportunities that there are here, and please let us know what you think about the platform as well. But beside this, I want to tell you also a bit more about what we are envisioning. So what would be the next steps for us? Because the project itself is funded until the end of 2020. We'll have to think about how to scale up, as well as how we can fly with our own wings, let's say. So what we are envisioning to do is to, first of all, expand the networking possibilities. So here we really want to make it easier for people to connect with each other on the PhD Hub platform, and to make sure that you can enter in contact with your peers and with well, industry partners. So here we are talking about, well, an enhancement of the research functionality, as well as making sure that you find, well, an answer to your calls, so easy research matches. So we will work as well on making sure that the semantic engine is fit for purpose and that you have the best possibilities that are offering, that is offered to you, and that you can find them on the platform. And on a very different note, something totally new that will appear on the platform in the next months will be training offers on transferable skills. And this will be developed with another project, which is a Horizon 2020 project. And we are working together with them on developing the courses that we will make very available for our PhD users on our platform. So here we are talking about expanding actually the different features of the platform. And to conclude, actually, the last thing that we are envisioning is, well, to make it easier for users to access the platform and to be validated, because as you know, in this very digital world, it's also about authorizing, well, the authentication, right? So there is a project, among others, but a project that I want to mention because it's called My Academic ID project. And it's basically creating one eID for accessing a different range of services. And this is for the students, so it's also for PhD candidates. And basically, this will be integrated as well to the PhD Hub platform. Well, we have different resources on our website, but I think what could be interesting for you is to look at the, well, the University Business Cooperation guidelines that we have, as well as international cooperations in doctoral education. So here are two of the most memorable, let's say, work that we've done as well through the projects. And if you want to have a look at the different resources, I put a link in my presentation. The last part, which is not the least, is to tell you about our open consultation for the future of the PhD Hub. So we have opened today an open consultation for you to be able to give us your feedback on the future of the PhD Hub. And basically with this feedback, which is anonymous, we will be able to make sure that this platform is actually serving you in the right way. So I will invite you as well to have a look. It's on the phdhub.eu platform in one of our news blog section. So you can take this short survey that takes about 5 minutes to complete. And this will greatly help us understand where we have to go next. So now, before I open the floor for short discussions with my two partners, Rehan and Nacho, I would like to ask you to go to slido.com very briefly and to join, well, the room with the code EIF 2020. To have a short round of questions together with you. And maybe that's because I fed you a lot of information now. I really look forward to hearing a bit also back from you. So please go to the Slido. I will open on my side the Slido questions here, and I will be awaiting for your answers. The first question, which is a bit, well, provoking in some ways, is about the, well, your research results. So you can tell me that you believe in the fact that you can contribute to society. no would be very sad. I imagine that none of you will actually say that you're not convinced that you can make a difference. And yes, it's just yes, but very, very excited. So please feel free to enter your results. Yes, I see that someone is very excited about research work. That's very good. I think we have someone that that's answered no to the question. So I'm truly sorry for you and whether or not you embarked there on this journey by mistake. I'm very sorry to hear that. But we have most of our respondents that are actually super excited about research work and about their research and believes that they can contribute to society. So thank you for answering this this first question. That was just well, an introduction to the Slido, obviously, but which leads me to the next question, which is basically what is the biggest challenge for you actually to transfer those results to the non-academic sector? So here we are talking obviously about, well, industry, but it could be as well non-governmental sector, civil society organizations, and society at large. So I would be really curious to know what is your biggest challenge for transferring your results. What do you think? Okay, not relevant. So you believe that you can make a contribution, maybe, but it's not maybe relevant to the non-academic sector. All right, marketing, contacting with the private sector is one of our big challenge, obviously. And I believe that the PhD Hub platform can actually make the things easier for people. Funds to contact and to do a pilot, yes, it's also a very relevant question. And in the previous chat we had on the internationalization of PhD studies, and during the previous days, I think some initiatives at European level were mentioned to actually offer this opportunity to PhD candidates to find the funds and to be financed to do research. Business talk, yeah, business speaks, business mind as well, indeed. As we might know, it's very difficult for academia and industry to talk the same language, right? Getting people to participate, media repercussions. So here we also talking about the transferable skills, if I'm not in a way. So also how to communicate evidence-based research and how to make sure that this has an impact in the society. Right, clinical validation. And we have some more different input here. Maybe Rehan or Nacho, you want also to comment on those interesting findings that we have here and answers from our audience.
Well, I can start if you don't mind. I think that a common scheme of the answers perhaps is how to approach our research to the business sector or to the business interest. And I think that is perhaps one of the goals of this project, and it's not easy to address this situation because, well, I always say that perhaps we are moving academia sector and business sector or society field in not in the same road. So perhaps this is the problem. And the second pattern that I can identify in the answers is, of course, a matter of funding. So that's complicated. So I have a research. We are researchers from university, so we have a prototype or a pilot or just an idea simulated or perhaps just in a paper. So how can I transform this idea in a real product or a real thing, a touchable thing for the business sector? So I need funding. How to get that funding perhaps is well, is a similar problem in any part of the world. So it's not a matter of a European country. I think this a similar problem in all places.
So I think if I add and echo Professor Nacho, and also reflect on the first question, the provocative question, where we had one or two people in there not seeing an impact on society. And I think where research, when we go into research, and I think there was a comment in the second question about time. We are it's a very long journey. It takes 3 to 5 years, or in some cases maybe for some longer. And businesses are not on that timeline. They've got today's problem should have been solved yesterday. So I think being able to align yourself and what we've learned from the project to businesses is going to be very interesting. So being selective, and maybe I'm on the 2 people or 3 people who responded as no on the first question. Maybe they are working on projects that are not impacting society, whereas they are impacting industry, and likely that their research or their results or their intellectual property is very machine orientated or very process and product development orientated. So which leads to actually explaining that actually we've got to be very selective in the kind of industrial research we want to do, and how we can actually connect to, rather than doing research very long away. But and I'm not saying that is wrong, but what I'm saying is being selective that you can make impact in the time frame of business needs. So I think that's one area where, when you do at the very initial stages of your journey, beginning to formulate your research questions, beginning to validate those research questions with industry partners or industry research, that allow industry research to inform you. Absolutely correct in when we look at the academic journals and papers to give us vision in terms of what we can achieve, but also industrial, where we are with industrial outputs and research, and we have to bring that closer. So I think this we describe this as impact research. Are we actually doing impact research or not? Those are that's what I would add in here, I think, from that perspective. But absolutely, business minds being able to communicate with business leaders, and it's very challenging to actually be able to find the right people in the right companies or in the right industries to talk to and communicate with them. So getting into the right networks, and sometimes you don't know which networks they are. Which business network do you need to attend? So it's great from projects like these where we've learned, the academics that are connected with industry, they can guide you, they can investigate with you and direct you to which networks where you can actually locate the right people to talk to. So yeah, it's very important to be able to get in that. So once you're there, once you found the right people to talk to, I think it's more important about what do you communicate to them. So how do you secure the little time you have with them to be able to get that first appointment in their company, to talk to about your research. But of course, relevance matters, and I think really making your research, finding where does your research fit in industry is really important.
Thank you, Rehan and Nacho for these comments. Actually, because Rehan, you mentioned as well that it's important to be attractive to the industry and to be able to then therefore communicate in the right way the research results and the research outputs. Maybe if you have 1 or 2 advice for our early stage researchers here in the audience on how to best talk with the industry, how to best sell academic research work, what could be useful for them to know?
What would be, I think, reading the right. So I mean, I always guide my students, especially in early research when they're completing their PhD. I know research kind of isolates you a little bit. You find yourself working very hard, breaking ground knowledge, hopefully. but then at the same time, you need to find that balance. You know, that there is the work-life balance, but then there is the in-depth academic research balance with countering it with industry. So you need to really always validate your work with industry. So you could carry out use of focus groups, but not focus groups in to find out more depth knowledge, but more focus groups about acceptability, adoption of your research. Validating that would be really useful. So connecting for us in our universities is connecting yourselves back to the enterprise team, working with them, and always communicating or presenting your presentation. So what you have done in European Innovation Fest is really useful, because what you have done over the last 2 or 3 days is talk about to the wider audience, capture your research, but present it to the right industries, to the right companies, but in a very short message, and understanding where the problems are, understanding industrial problems, and beginning to address those. That would be my point, where you really need to focus in where the industry challenges are.
Yes. Thank you so much. We have one last question for the audience, actually, which is more related to our PhD Hub platform. And here, I just want to pick your brain. If you have any, innovative ideas or any other type of idea of how we could improve our platform, what would you love to see on PhD Hub? I know it might be difficult for you to think about something in particular right now, but well, feel free to just send any ideas you may have, as well as telling us maybe at a later stage via the open consultation if you have further feedback. So here, jobs, yes. So more okay, companies, right? Yes, we need to scale up indeed. That's very interesting. So here it's also related to the fact that make it more easier for the users to access the platform, as I mentioned. Postdoc grants, yes, this is also something that we are thinking of. So expanding not only having PhD offers but more open positions, let's say, for early stage researchers, including obviously postdocs. Success case, yes, thank you. Postdoc offers, topics, not sure to understand maybe this one.
So topics could relate to challenges. What are the areas they can focus their research on?
Great, yeah, it could be feedback from companies. But yeah, we can obviously see that there's a real need for expanding as well to the postdoc funding as well. So this is really interesting to know, and we really welcome any feedback you may have. So you can keep feeding the Slido if you'd like. But meanwhile, what I will do is I will also turn to you, because I want to have some kind of time as well for you to ask your questions. And you can ask your questions to Rehan, obviously, but also to Nacho, who is with us. So I will check if there is any questions, or please as well, just raise your hands and you can talk together with us in the session. I see that for now we don't have any specific questions. Maybe it requires a bit of time for our audience as well to think about what might be something that they would like to ask. But maybe then I will turn to Nacho and Rehan on stage. And I want to ask something that we barely touched upon during this session, but I think it could be important as well for us to understand, well, according to your experience, what do you think would it take for us, for universities as well, to ensure that the PhD results are more systematically transferred to society? Rehan or Nacho, feel free to start.
So here in the UK, we write up impact case studies. So where there's research been going on in a group with academics and PhD candidates. I think beginning to realize those very quickly and working on those and writing those up. Because I think when we write journals, it's in your academic communities, very much informing and knowledge sharing and knowledge exchange happening, but then translating that knowledge into impact means, you know, is there a product at the end of this? Have we created a better process in a manufacturing plant, for example? And being able to share that with industry is really important. So communicating through the right mediums would be really useful to sustain some of the work we are doing here in terms of that. So on our platform, we have demand-led inquiry. So it's where our partners will post cooperation calls. So they have imminent problems in their companies, but then as academic communities, what we could be doing is, or what we are doing is looking at the challenges that the companies are facing, but looking at, where in our partner network or where in our university is this work being carried out, and we can address or support those companies. And far more, it's not about, I don't worry about the corporates, the big companies. It's more about, the medium-sized, the small businesses who are very agile, very restricted in funding also, so they're kind of very focused in what they're doing, but they have some of the biggest challenges and are very important to the economy in terms of developing that. So I think those are the areas where the sustaining some of the work that is happening in research connected with industry would sustain us as researchers.
Well, I think that one key point is to realize that it's necessary this transfer from the research done in the research centers to the society or to the companies. I think that this is one of the key points, and I think that now all the stakeholders are convinced that it's absolutely necessary. So that's one point, or one interesting point to take into consideration, and I think that this is a positive thing. Because perhaps 5 years ago, 7 years ago, PhD research or even university research was working isolated from the real world. Let me say. Another point, it's connected with this idea, is that we need to adapt or readapt the research oriented to the real demand from society or from business sector. So I think that is very important, but don't forget that we are in academic environment and we need to keep the framework under the PhD studies are built. So that's as well important. So it's a tricky idea, because we need to combine these needs from the society, from the world, out of the walls of academic environment, but as well we need to keep this idea or this framework of the PhD studies. Perhaps one solution is very general. I know it could be to raise awareness, the relevance of PhD graduates in our society. If we are able, step by step, piano piano, as Italian people said, to convince to all the stakeholders involved in the economy and involved in the third cycle studies about the relevance and the benefits of the PhD studies and the PhD graduates, because I would like to to remark one thing that yesterday, I think it was yesterday or before yesterday, sorry, I don't remember exactly when, one speaker said that the companies, they appreciate too much the acquired skills, in particular transversal skills, that PhD graduates can get or can achieve when they are doing the PhD studies. So we are not talking about to be an expert or a guru in a specific topic. They appreciate a lot this transversal skill that they have acquired doing this specific topic. I think that the idea is more or less clear. So when you are developing this specific idea, perhaps it's not quite interesting for a company. You are acquiring a lot of skills that companies appreciate a lot, because if you have these skills, you could be an expert perhaps in a similar topic or in another absolutely different topic. So that's very important. And all of them are moving around the idea to raise awareness about the relevance of these studies.
Mm. So yeah, I think it's you're absolutely right, Professor. When you talk about the long-term journey, the framework of the PhD accomplishment, we know very well that that is going to be very rigorous, and that needs to be achieved. But those transferable skills, the appreciated skills from industry, what I found is that when we recruit, when a PhD candidate joins the university to do research, and it's going to take them 3 to 5 years, as academics, what we've realized that actually, here's a graduate, has done their master's program, is already employable, and they're going to focus on research. But what happens over time is they become very isolated. So what, Professor, you're saying is continue to develop yourself. That continuous professional development needs to continue as a PhD candidate. And we've seen in the PhD Hub project where we begin to what I define as creating opportunities, beginning to work with the students at that level who are very engrossed in their research and are very productive in their research, but also allowing them to communicate with businesses, allowing them to understand what economic demands are and what societal challenges are, because they change. Look at us last year. This time we had no idea that we would be doing this online. So circumstances change very rapidly, especially in the climate we live in now. So I think giving students opportunities is very critical, and we've seen that through the PhD Hub project to continue. But again, yeah, those transferable skills are critical.
Indeed. So we have one question from the audience, and then after these questions, I will just give the floor as well to Stella Kostopoulos, who wants to also participate. But first, let me just ask you this one question from our audience, which is basically someone asking, PhD work used to be focused in basic science, but in the private sector is focused in specific solutions, right? That's what we have discussed. This person is asking, is there any way to merge both approaches?
Well, it's a complex question, because if I can connect with my previous comment, of course, the idealistic world could be to do PhD just focus for the companies. It means applied research, but for doing applied research, you need basic research. So it's a complex solution. So it's not a matter to change all the PhD lines. It's not a revolution. It's not a time to transform all the current or all the system of PhD. It's a matter to adapt some research lines in order to connect with this environment out of the university. So I think that this is the solution to merge. So it means to create new research lines, of course, with the basic knowledge, because it's absolutely necessary to create new things, but perhaps all PhD dissertation has a final stage, and this is a pilot, prototype, or a use case, and it could be to take notes from business sector or municipalities or society in order to know what kind of things they are expecting from us and what kind of things they are needing from the academic environment. So there is no merge solution. There is no highway to transform this basic research to applied research, but it's a matter to change step by step some research lines, perhaps with a solid and a strong pillar with basic research in this applied research that they are expecting.
And I think, sorry, if I just may add, because I think maybe Rehan, you were going to say that, but I think what's important as well to, well, there is no real solution to merging both approaches, but I think what's important as well is this interdisciplinary approach. So here we also could see that by working together with different disciplines, we are increasing the potential of innovation and in transferring the results to society. So just very briefly, Rehan, if you want also to give your contribution on this question, I'll invite you to do so.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. The ground knowledge is your traditional research, but the ability to apply to take your research and put it in practice is applied research. Professor talks about. But then, if you're doing that foundation level research where you're creating new knowledge, you have the opportunity to begin to capitalize what we talk about intellectual property, beginning to identify that through your journey and having that and having a team supporting you on that, either from the university or the right business networks to do that. But I think there is an opportunity, and this is where you see, I think most traditional research wanting to get to. I think that would be aspiration to do that, to be able to spin off.
Thanks for your brief answer and very valuable contribution. Because we are soon to the end of the session, I would like first to give the floor to Stella. Stella, if you're here, you've raised your hand, so I imagine that you had a question or a comment for us.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
We can barely hear you, Stella.
Is it better?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, then. Well, thank you for giving me the floor to make some remarks. Stella Kostopoulou from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, Greece. Just to add a few comments on what my colleagues from Spain and Great Britain mentioned. I think that we have a generic question here. How do we define business sector? Because we talk about business sector, but then we ask about the impact on society. There may be conflicts on these partners. Not always, but often. So we have to make it quite clear which are the areas that we are talking about. And I think that a major outcome of European Innovation Fest is that it made, I think, quite clear that industries, and mainly large industries, large firms, are already well organized. Okay, I saw the presentation of the aerospace industry yesterday, the presentation of the medical institute, okay, yesterday. So I was impressed because they are very well organized. They have their own research teams, okay, and sections. So I believe that our, in a way, audience for this kind of platforms are the clustering of small and medium-sized enterprises. Okay, they don't have the means to have this kind of research sections. But then we have a long list of organizations, not companies, not in the private sector, but organizations, whether they are social organizations, non-governmental agencies, for example, or municipalities. We had a very interesting conversation yesterday with the municipality of Thessaloniki. It was quite clear that they do not have a clear policy how to cooperate with the university, okay, through the PhD candidates. Ignacio gave me the impression that they have more or less the same attitude in Spain. So there is a long list where we do not address in a way this question because they are not so well organized as the private sector. So I think that we are lacking here quite a long and interesting part of the what we call industry. Even though by industry we mean usually the private sector. So I think that we better make it clear that we also address this call, I mean, the participation to the PhD platform, also to companies or organizations or whatever, that they do not have by law this private sector form. And this is also quite a large labor market for the PhD candidates, and maybe this will help to better address the question that the PhD candidate said before. Was quite interesting. Big science and applied science. Quite right, Nacho mentioned that for applied science you need basic science. So I will a little bit change the term applied by business-oriented. It is different to discuss about applied science, an applied PhD, and then business-oriented. That means by demand. That means an industrial PhD. And I think that we really have to enlarge this concept to include also the non-private sector, because this is, and I end up with this, going back to the beginning of my intervention, this is a generic issue. We must include to the research policy of academia, we must include also the social aspect. And we are lacking that by mentioning only business sector or industry. It's very important because social problems are increasing exponentially. And we do not deal with these questions. We only deal how we can make the algorithm for having a long distance conversation with Spain and Great Britain and Belgium at the same time. But what are the social impact of all this? And this is a major question for the labor market. So we must emphasize, I believe, these questions, because the questions that refer to the private sector are already emphasized. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella, for this addition to our discussion. I think it was very nice having your views on the topic as well. I want also to tell the audience that you're also involved in the PhD Hub project, obviously, from the University of Thessaloniki, and you're, collaborating a lot as well with the industry, but the non-academic sector in Thessaloniki and the tourism sector there, which obviously has this social aspects as well that you're mentioning and that we have to pay attention to. So thank you very much for your contribution. I know that we have some more questions in the audience, but I will invite our speakers to answer them in the chat if possible, because we're running a bit late. So I would like to thank all of you for your participation in this session. Very nice having you. Please feel free to create your account on phdhub.eu. And on this note, I'll give back the floor to Nacho for the ceremony.
Yeah, thank you, Marie, for the moderation of this and conducting this presentation. And yes, you are right. We are out of time, so this is time to say goodbye. And I would like to give some words related to this European Innovation Fest, because I think that is always at the end of this type of events to recap and to give a short summary about the things that we have done in these 3 days. First thing that I would like to say is, of course, this European Innovation Phase in this online way, it has been a real challenge for us because we had to transform and to change from a physical way that we schedule it in Alcalá de Henares in June, but the COVID situation forced it to change in this online way. So I think that we have had some technical issues, so sorry for that, but for us, it has been a real challenge to manage a lot of registrations with Microsoft tools, because when you overpass some ceiling, some threshold, the things are complex, so sorry for our mistakes. And I would like to say that we have had an average of 100 participants per session. I think that is a good number of participants. Now we are going to collect the information from the participants and to create some numbers and figures about the profile of the participants. And I think that is very important as well to know the profile of the audience in order to to know if our impact or the impact of this European Innovation Phase has got the expected audience that we consider at the beginning of this event. As well, it's time to thank the intensive work from, in particular, Alfredo Gardel and David Fuentes in the shadow with the registrations and technical issues. And many thanks, colleagues, for your time and a lot of hours, in particular on the weekend for this event. And also to all the participants. This event could not be possible without the participation. So I think that we have had a very interesting event, trying to combine the PhD Hub triangle. It means business sector, as Estela said, no business companies only, business sector, academia sector, and as well early researchers, PhD candidates. So we have tried with the different sessions to cover the three stakeholders. And for that, we created a program with three big blocks or main blocks, work field visits, where we combined the expertise from the companies. As Estela said, we combine municipalities, we combine a hospital, in particular the research or the IT team of the hospital, and as well a large enterprise in the defense and aerospace. We had the pitch session on Monday. It was nice and with a lot of participants, and I will announce in a minute the winners, with three different topics and with very nice research activities from the participants. So thank you very much for all the pictures. I know that you did a big effort to prepare the presentations and to try to transmit your knowledge and your research in just 3-5 minutes. So it's quite complicated, I know, because behind of these 3-5 minutes, there are a lot of hours. So thank you very much for that. And today we have had two big sessions and two very nice sessions concerning the internationalization of PhD studies and concerning the future of PhD. So thank you very much. And finally, my last words, of course, is to announce the winners of the pitch sessions. So let me say that a jury formed by one business representative, the PhD Hub coordinator, one academic staff, and the moderator of each pitch session evaluated all the pitches. So topics analyzed by them were level of presentation, contributions, connection with the topic of the session, and other issues. In general, I would like to say that the quality of the pitches was amazing. And another important thing, at least from my perspective, is the possibility to connect with another researchers, senior or junior, through the PhD Hub platform in similar topics. Because if you remember the presentations of the pitchers, some of the topics are well connected. So perhaps this event could be an opportunity to know another researchers working in the same field. Well, the winners of the different categories are the next ones. In the bioengineering category, the first one was Anastasia Entracha, and the second one, Nitin Satpute. In the category of Green City, the first one was Pavel Jasorievich, and the second one, Ela Mieszejewska. And in the green energy, the first one was Daniel Santa Margarita, and the second one, Maria Gallego. So congratulations to all of them. We will contact you to send you the award. Remember that for the first ones is 300 euros, and for the second ones 150 euros. And no more of the word from my side. Marie, perhaps you can say the final word as the coordinator of the event, and close this amazing event and amazing challenge for all of us.
Yes, thank you, Nacho. So first of all, congratulations to the pitch winners. As Nacho said, it was really a fantastic sessions that we had with so many interesting propositions from the PhD candidates. So congratulations again to the winners of these sessions. I would like also to extend my thanks to, first of all, Nacho, who's been the person running things as well during the whole event and organizing the event. So thank you, Nacho, and thanks to David and Alfredo in the background as well, and thanks to the University of Alcalá for organizing the event. I would like, obviously, to thank again our partners, because in this project, I think it's really important. We relied on the participation and the contributions of all of our partners. So thanks to all of our hubs, the Birmingham hub, the Alcalá hub, Thessaloniki hub, and Łódź hub that have done an amazing job for this event as well. All the contributors that we had from the industry, as well as the participation of our high-level speakers this morning, and from Eurodoc yesterday. That was amazing as well, sessions. I hope that as a participant, you have gained knowledge through this event, and that has been useful for you. I think, as Nacho said, we'll send you just a small survey to understand what you liked best about this event and how we could improve the next, because there will be obviously next events like this one. There will be also hackathons in the future. So I'm really looking forward to welcoming you in the different events. And on this note, yes, thank you all, and have an amazing day. Thanks for participating in the European Innovation Fest.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Well done, Professor Nacho and team. Congratulations.